this last section is 5 actionable ways that we can delay metabolic disease, because the game is delay.
Yeah.
And just a quick recap, the 2 camps. I mean, you're either in camp A, which is you got a lot of work to do and you know it, or you've been doing a lot of work and you're in great shape and you're proud of it. It doesn't matter because you got to go on offense.
Right.
And before we talk about these 5 steps, we talk a lot about diseases of abundance. It's kind of a phrase that I coin.
Mm-hmm.
Describe to the listeners what that means to us, diseases of abundance.
Well, currently, in our current environment, food is plentiful for the most part. Now, are there people that are hungry in the United States? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that fact. However, we're set up pretty well in this country. You and I were talking as we were prepping for this podcast that even through the pandemic, what became more popular than ever was food delivery services like Uber Eats and Grubhub and all of those things, where from an app on your phone, you can pretty much have access to any fast food or takeout food that you want and have it delivered within probably an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have that growing up. That never existed until recently.
It required a little bit of effort.
Yeah. And we never ate out when I was growing up much, mostly because we lived out in the country. But my mom always cooked for us. And so, you know, it's just these, where you talk about abundance, it's just that we have an abundance of resources, you know, mostly food. And then we are more sedentary than ever because most of us have jobs where we sit. And so we don't have an abundance of physical activity. So that's kind of the opposite of that. And in a lot of third world countries, if you look at them, like scarcity is the predominant thing, right? They have.
So let's examine the opposite.
Yeah. So the opposite, and where they don't have metabolic disease, that's the take-home point, is in these countries where scarcity rules.
Oh, yeah.
But what they do have is, you know, maybe they don't have scarcity of raw goods, so they don't have a grocery store in every corner. They don't have Uber Eats available to them, but they have poverty. They have war. They have conflict, suffering.
Infectious diseases.
Those
so they don't get heart disease and cancer.
That stuff takes them out.
They die of cholera and dehydration and war crimes.
Right.
Nobody gets off the hook, whether you're in a state of abundance or scarcity, but there are different vulnerabilities.
Right. Predators.
Ooh. Yeah.
So this abundance basically keeps us in a perpetual state of caloric surplus unless we're on offense, and we're working on that. And so because our bodies are designed to keep us alive during famines, right now the famine never comes.
Absolutely not.
So the way I love
the feast never ends.
Yeah. I love the term fat flux. So you pull fat out of your cells, you put it back in. We're just in times of abundance or areas of abundance, we're constantly just shoving it into our fat cells. We don't ever create that environment where we're pulling it back out and using it for energy. So that's basically what we're talking about with diseases of abundance. We're just always in storage mode, never in fat burning mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads us to constantly being in an overfed state.
Right.
And even worse, it compounds because we're being overfed with really poor quality foods. So it's highly processed, highly refined carbohydrates, which trigger massive surges in blood sugar, subsequent insulin response, which further deepens the insulin resistance, which is the gateway physiology for metabolic disease. And this is a real problem, because ultimately these are fueling the flames of cancer, obesity, heart disease, cognitive decline. It's a snowball, all rooted in metabolic inefficiencies at scale. And so the number one thing we can do to combat this strategically, to go on offense, is to be insulin sensitivity as a mindset.
Yep.
What can I do to increase my body's response to the insulin that I am producing so that it doesn't hang around any longer than it has to be? And I think regardless of which camp you're in, I think these are the 5 steps. What's the first step?
I think the first step is pretty easy, and that's to get the basic tests.
Yeah, where are you at?
Know your number. So in our practice, we look at fasting insulin levels. We look at fasting blood sugar levels. You got to look at your fasting lipid panel and find a provider that can accurately interpret that for you.
And look at these ratios, triglyceride to HDL ratios, LDL particle numbers. We've created boatloads of content around this.
Yep. Some of the inflammatory markers, so we look at HSCRP, other inflammatory markers, and then thyroid, super, super important, often overlooked and mismanaged. We've talked about that before.
Sets the tone of a metabolic engine.
Oh, yeah. It's your main metabolic hormone. And
testosterone.
Then your sex hormones, right. So all of your...
male or female, by the way.
Male or female, yep.
We've talked a lot about this.
I think that's a great place to start.
I think so too. And then I think the next step is, where am I at? Really doing an honest audit of where is my diet? How do I eat to sustain my life? And is it mapping me closer to my goals or further away? And what degree is my diet affecting my insulin sensitivity kind of status? And what changes do you need to make? What environments do you need to change? What things do you need to add? These are all very, very powerful questions.
You know what? One of the great tools we use is a continuous glucose monitor.
You know what? That really is. We didn't put it on
We didn't put it on the list, but I just thought of that.
Well, yeah, because that is actually in near real time giving you data on your blood glucose level, which you can extrapolate will then trigger an insulin response or not. And you can really see how well your sensitivity to insulin is working. If your blood sugars are lingering high, you're insulin resistant.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic tool, absolutely. And I think, so not only the quality of the food, the type of environments that you're eating that are affecting your diet, the influences of your diet, who you're hanging out with, who you're going to lunch with, kind of those kind of things. But when are you eating? We spend all of our time, 99 out of 100 diet plans focuses on the what. I have been pounding the drum on intermittent fasting for years at this point. I really believe that when you eat is more important than what you eat.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. And it's not that what you eat is not important. It's just if you're eating really, really great things all the time, you're not going to undo the metabolic inefficiencies. You have to give your body enough time to reset, create these micro famines that we are designed to be hyper efficient in, get out of our own way. So fasting is another very powerful dietary strategy. What's number 3?
Sleep. Just did a great podcast about this, but it's so underrated, but so important. And for many, many reasons, but I think it's intimately involved in your insulin sensitivity. If you're not tracking your sleep, that'd be a great place to start. You and I have both talked about the Oura Ring in the past. It's OURA. Love that technology. And it's not really like, for me personally, the duration of my sleep, but the quality that matters.
That's right.
So really focusing on that and optimizing that, because that also optimizes our hormonal environment too.
100%.
Just like we need to create these micro famines for our nutrition, we need to shut the brain down.
We need restorative sleep.
We do.
In order to reset that insulin sensitivity.
And even out your cortisol.
Yes.
Yep. What's
Yeah.
number 4?
4 is you've got to develop a fitness strategy, whatever that means for you. If you're a total couch potato, you got to get up and walk. If you're a walker, you got to start jogging. If you're like, you've got to do whatever the next step is, and we need to be very intentional about moving your body. You're created to be in motion, to be powerful and strong, and you do not do that sitting immobile and not challenging your physical musculoskeletal system. You have to put that under mechanical stress. And if you're a total couch potato, and you need to hire someone to help you so you don't get injured. But really being intentional about what are we doing to maximize the mass of skeletal muscle that we have, because skeletal muscle are our antidote to insulin. And if we become insulin resistant at the level of the skeletal muscle tissue, we are really in a rough situation.
Yeah.
And fitness is a fantastic way to have a hyper increase of insulin sensitivity in your skeletal muscle. And it is a superpower. And then lastly,
find your team.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about this a lot.
Well, it's because it's true.
Yeah. I came across a great quote that I had posted on social media, and it's by our buddy Simon Sinek. We both love him as an author, but it says, failure we can do alone, success always takes help. And I love that so much because, it's just, I can leave that where it's at. We can always fail by ourselves, but you and I, we both have trainers. We have business coaches. in business, in life, nutrition. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that I teach this stuff and I need help.
Everyone needs coaching.
Yeah. And just that layer of accountability has propelled my success to the next level this year.
You show up in a different way.
Yeah.
When you're invested to the point where you're hiring someone to help you be efficient. And if you've got that person or those people in your life, you're so fortunate. Double down.
Yeah.
If you don't, go find them.
Yeah.
Find your people. Find your healthcare provider that can dig into this for you. Find a trainer that you like, that understands your goals. Find someone that can help you map out your diet and your fitness plan. Find a therapist to help you kind of unwind at the end of the day so you can sleep. Like, go find your team.
Yeah.
You cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
And there is no shame. Actually, the shame lives alone. Shame lives in darkness.
Yeah.
Like, when you bring in a team, shame gets suffocated. We all, we're social creatures. We're tribal creatures. We need each other.
Yeah. We need that connection.
Go get, yes. Oh my gosh. Are we craving more than ever connection?
Yeah.
In a world where we have hyperconnectivity, we don't have any true connection.